here that FURIA have meticulously laid out for them? We're going to find out as we get into Clubhouse to round out our day here at Reloads.
The public are back in FURIA.
Would you bet against them, Tim?
Bit risky at this event. They've looked pretty good so far. FURIA, of course, coming into this one unbeaten so far, and they're going to look to continue it with another win against DarkZero. Going with the reload of 5 bullets will fire them up to 17, and should be enough to put them into the playoffs. DarkZero playing it safe. They're going to get themselves through to tomorrow, where they can then worry about how they get through to the playoffs.
Start things out with the bands here. It's going to be the Kaid and the Blackbeard coming out as our first two. Zero surprises there, Tim. We have seen these operators banned a lot so far at Reload.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty... I would guess that we might have, you know, Blitz or Monty and Bandit following. We'll see. It's not always the double electric ban. Sometimes it's just about reducing your ability for denial. Sometimes it's about removing it entirely. This time it will be about removing it entirely. Bandit and Blitz are going to go. So double shield, double electric has become a bit of a staple. How is it going to impact us on Clubhouse? Well, it's going to make the top floor a lot easier to open up for DarkZero to begin with. There's not going to be any wall denial that can realistically stop them. Yes, you can put mute jammers on there, but it's not going to do you much good. You can just pop those exthermic charges on at the top corners, and they will open the wall nonetheless just as easily. So we should be able to see a little bit of, even though DarkZero are quite defensive, quite a slow team, we should be able to see a bit of aggression out of them really on the attack. Getting in there, getting those objectives done early, ticking boxes, opening walls, and getting themselves into a position to execute.
And to touch on DarkZero starting on attack, it does feel very, very like, you know, balls to the wall, really wanting to go for it here. I think, like, I'll come back to what some teams said probably about 5-6 years ago when I was first coming into Siege, and they would pick to go on attack on this map, and it's not really specific to Clubhouse, it's more the mentality of it. And saying that if you're starting on the attack and you can pick up 2-3 rounds, you start putting pressure on the other side there, especially if you're coming out in that 3-3 split. They're just like, ah, damn. So if you back yourself coming into a game more, you know, you feel your energy is higher and you can perform better on the attack at the start rather than the second half, then why not go for a bit of attack to kick things off? And that's exactly where DarkZero find themselves. The Ying and the Dokkaebi and the Deimos, the three main operators that my eyes fall on here, Tim. Great for their own clear, but also very, very good for the execute.
Well, the site setup still going on. JB92 just opening those rotations through into blue, going to give the defenders those options to just have multiple routes back. The reason that you open those rotations in sight, if you're a little bit newer to the game, wondering why are they blowing holes in the wall, is to give yourself multiple options, because otherwise, in that situation, we've just seen one either side of the door. If a plant goes down, the attackers know you have to come through that single door. Now they don't. Citizen is going to pick up KZ. Is there going to be a little bit more action for Spirits here? He knows somebody's around that corner. He just can't get to them there.
Tim, they even put barbed wire down in here to make this extra hard to do. This is ridiculous. He's dug right in. They know exactly where he is. He's getting pushed in through the soft wall behind him. Also a player in front and will not get away with this one. Philippe Potts goes down. And KZ, of course, has already joined him. DarkZero with 2 kills inside 60 seconds. Not a bad start.
Great start from them. That's a Ying shotgun doing some serious work.
Not the first or last time we'll see that, Tim.
No, not at all. It just shows. The thing is, we don't really see, unless, you know, you've got your sledge or something like that, we don't see necessarily that kind of dynamic. I can just blow a hole in the wall with the shotgun. It tends to be more of a defender thing, particularly with the shotguns. So it is fascinating to see it, you know, unless you brought the book or you brought the sledge. Bringing it out of somebody else just mixes it up a little bit.
Nate's just seen everything there. He knows the guy's headed downstairs. He knows he's put down a gadget as well. And look at that. It rips through Nate below. Spirits, earlier on he was calling out if he could have a 1v1 shield battle against Anatom, but I think there's some style points being awarded for his Ying play here as well. Only 2 left on site. It's the Mute and it's the Goyo. They found 1, they found 2. Hertz is starting to do it all, Tim, but the pressure is mounted. Won't get away with the 3rd, does get finished off. Spirits on for a 3K, could turn it into a 4th if JV gives him the opportunity.
DarkZero need to make sure that they're still doing the due diligence here. JV is one of the top-rated players so far at the tournament. Been absolutely electric, particularly at the beginning of things over those first couple of days. And he's certainly a player who could turn around a 1v3. He's got the shotgun. There you go. Does he get one? No! There was a world where he got both of them, but Spirits finds his 4th on the round. Kangaroo Kenny is very happy in behind his players there. What a start from DarkZero.
And DarkZero for Spirits especially, as you say, a 4K in the first round with Ying Shotgun. Not a line that I thought I'd be saying coming into this game, but that's the one that I've had to say. Cash and CC coming up for our next site. And I can't imagine you're going to see FURIA playing out about around the map as aggressively as they were in that one, because DarkZero, as soon as they knew that a player was trapped inside a strip, hard punish them, forced them out, got a free kill into a smoke as well without losing a player. That's exactly what you want to see. Very well executed by DarkZero, leaving no gaps for FURIA to fight back into the round.
None whatsoever. FURIA certainly will know that they're in a game after that first round, a defensive site that we really would expect them to pick up as well. Going down to the basement should always really favour the defenders here on a defender-sided Clubhouse, but DarkZero managed to get it done, and FURIA are going to move on. They're going to take us up to CCTV and Cash. It's interesting, we've seen a little bit more CCTV and Cash, and I think obviously, you know, the ability to hold on to that garage catwalk is kind of encouraging teams a little bit to play here more rather than favouring gym and bedroom, which has been the case over the last sort of 12 months or so, but we are seeing a bit more on this side of things. However, DarkZero should be able to get what they need quite quickly here. They should be able to get that CCTV wall open rapid quick with the thermite. It's just then whether they choose to go for catwalk. They've got JV92 on a dock with 3 ADSs. That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough to clear out. So they may choose to go and push for Leapox in bedroom, go through that side and try and get construction. And I think that is going to be the case because they've started things out with Jacuzzi Wall. However, oh no, they've got the Hibana, that's fine. I was going to say, if NJR goes and opens, they just need to be cautious about their hard breaching, but he's going to open CCTV, which I think is essential. Definitely get that done. And then they can always just use Nafe from inside a bedroom with that range breach onto construction wall. So far so good. Yep, construction, that's maybe going to force Leapox back to site when that wall gets opened as well.
Gives them the options is the main part. You could also afford a late round lurk if you wanted to into towards Jacuzzi side of the map and just slowly crawl your way through, as Pamba is currently starting to do. Hunting down these Valkyrie cameras on the IQ, of course doing their due diligence here to making sure any gadgets that might get in their way are being taken out. If nothing else though, speaking about JV being set up inside a garage on the catwalk, yeah, he's got those ADSs there. You normally see with Mine Magnets also being committed. I think it's because they expected to see DZ bring along a Capitao to survive through the fire, but there is no DZ, they've not even bothered, so as you were suggesting, Tim, they might just ignore that part of the map entirely, and they can't do anything about the flashes that come out from Spirits. He might have big brain this one and really be ready to hand it to JV.
Yeah, I think they will just avoid the catwalk altogether. Citizen has joined Pamba over in the bedroom and logistics. Spirits is coming in there as well now. Nafe, as we can see from his silhouette inside of construction, they can get this construction wall open and look to push from there. That's going to be the next job. What they have to do after they've got this done is they have to disrupt those players that are playing top red and inside of Cash, force them away. DarkZero are going to know that there's probably nobody on that CCTV, so they can ignore that breach for the time being and at least use that space.
Got to be careful here on what they make use of these Candelas. Of course, those ADSs in towards Garage mean it's going to be a hard job to flash out JV, but at the very least, you could hope to stop him from swinging here as you try and make a plant or a deep push in towards site. I'd expect them to run deep and try and plant on table as well, it's worth stressing. You've got Nade sat at top red who can disrupt you if the time comes around as well, but they've got to force KZ away from the construction door itself. And say that, he pushes through the door, Tim, gets rid of Citizen. They've now lost a bit of pressure inside of construction itself.
Leapox could be key here as well. He's currently playing around red stairs and he has a nitro. That's actually been expended, but KZ Nade managed to get kills, and as well as DarkZero had themselves set up with 7 seconds left to go, they're having to rush this. The Candela goes in. Can they find the kills? No, there's going to be no option to put the diffuser down. JV92 picks up Spirits, and that is going to be the round for FURIA. Much better defense from them. DarkZero got a lot of good work done, but then just struggled with that final step of forcing FURIA away and getting themselves in to put that plant down.
It was very heads up from KZ as well. He knew that he had to move there. The nade going in towards him, he had one choice, either try and run deep inside a site and likely die to the door or 2 of the Hibana holes that have been opened up. You weren't going to live for that, or you go aggressive. And DZ, I think, read into that. Citizen was sat holding that angle when KZ came pushing out a construction door. Just couldn't win the fight, and then he pressed on and won a second. Spirits, I don't know what he was doing. I think he was too focused on what was going on inside of CC itself. It let KZ push in and get rid of Pamba, and then he was inside a bedroom, and at that point, everything is going to start falling apart. So really well played by KZ there. The real instrument in that round for me that saw FURIA coming out on top.
Back down to the basement we go then. Rather than going for that third choice gym and bedroom, FURIA decide that they're going to double down where they've already lost a round. DarkZero did manage to pick up a couple of the roamers very, very quickly. FURIA this time likely confident that they can maybe stay active in the map a little bit longer. They're going to have to because, as we saw, DarkZero just absolutely decimated them last time around. They need to be winning some of those gunfights. They've got KZ out there. They've got a couple. Philippox and Herds out in that mid-floor. Herds has actually gone up to the top floor to join KZ as well. So DarkZero are going to be stretched if they want to clear this entire map.
I spoke about them maybe bringing along the Capitão in the last round, and FURIA prepared a defense for that with the Dark and the Jaeger being set up inside of Catwalk. This is the round where instead of opts to bring it along, Tim, when there are neither of those things on site. There's no Wamai, there's no Jaeger, nothing to stop those firebolts or the slow bolts reaching their intended targets. So assuming DarkZero get to the site here, ready to execute with all players alive, or at the very least the Ying and the Capitão, there's a lot they can pull with here. They're just got to be very mindful of Nade on that Warden and the damage that he can do.
Philippox is holding inside of Kitchen at the minute. That's quite aggressive from FURIA. Basically getting right up in the face of DarkZero. We wouldn't normally see somebody physically holding Kitchen, but Philippox just wanting to send a bit of a message, I think, that they're not going to give anything up easily. How about that? Spirits continues with the Ying shotgun, putting the Candelas to great use, and just absolutely runs over KZ.
They're going to get sick and tired of getting blasted by this Ying shotgun in the end, because look at the kills on the DZ side. Spirits has got 6 of their 8, 3/4 of their kills all sit on him and that Ying shotgun. It's been pretty spectacular to witness so far. Still, though, halfway into this round and only one down. That was, of course, upon the top 4. We've got to work our way through the entirety of this map. The smoke going to slow down DarkZero, at least temporarily. But as I remarked on earlier, it's about getting the Capitão and the Ying to the point of execute. That should be DZ's overriding focus in this round.
Hertz must know that NJR is behind that wall, but does he know that he's about to be pushed from the other side? He picks up Pamba. Nade manages to find Spirits. 4 versus 3 now. NJR outside of the building, leaving. Hertz knew he was going to come from there. He was so patient. He picked up one of the players trying to clear him and then still got the peek outside of the map. Great stuff from Herge. JV gets the final one. FURIA, well, they look a little bit different to how they did in round 1.
Really turned it on there, didn't they? Because for the most part, DarkZero were in control halfway into the round. It's like they got their entry, they got themselves set up around the map and look to start thinking about the site. And just when you think, all right, they're in a spot to start making something happen, FURIA turn it on. Herds especially, a wonderful shot through the window, catching the player out towards spawn. That's what you want to see and what you want out of your players, being able to turn it on when it's required most.
Round 4 bans will come in for anybody who has not been watching throughout the tournament. Where have you been, first of all? But next up, the banning phase has changed slightly. So we've had those 2 simultaneous bans at the beginning, meaning that the teams ban them at the same time. Speeds things up a little bit. And DarkZero, as attackers, were able to ban 2 defenders. FURIA were able to ban 2 attackers. And then here, just before round 4, they get to take an additional operator out that will be banned for the next 3 rounds. So that leaves us now with a total of 6 bans. And the newest ones, I can't say I'm surprised, Des. Ying's gone.
Yep. Sick and tired of seeing Spirits blast him in the back with a shotgun, I think. So that one's gone, and Mute on the other side. Only played on the basement site by FURIA, so it makes it an interesting ban. But I think many teams know that being impeded by Mute can be really frustrating, especially when you rely on that intel game. We saw a lot of it in the previous round from DZ, doing great work with the droning and still losing things out in the end because they didn't know that Herge was inside of storage. Really paid the price on that one, so just want to make sure they can flow through the map a little more freely by taking that Mute offline.
Just going to detonate the gas pipe, one of those new environmental destructive ingredients near the site there, FURIA, which is an interesting one because we saw it actually used to really good effect defensively the other day. I think it was KZ who was actually on his way into the building. FURIA suffered to it. He went in, the pipe had been detonated, it was, you know, due to explode, and he had to move quicker than he probably wanted to and lost his life in doing so. So FURIA, you know, choosing that they don't want to use that, and we will see that from time to time. The defenders, you know, may well take them out so that they can't be used against them.
Key one to stress, of course, here looking at it. FURIA, they win this game, they go up to 17 bullets. It will put them in that top 4. But of course, remembering also that W7M gains some based on how this plays out. This could lead to a literal decision on who gets promoted into the live stages on Friday, based entirely on things like round difference when they start getting weighed in, when a bunch of teams are all tied on the same amount, or in this case, at least 2 will be. It's going to make for a very, very interesting affair come the end of the day. I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out at the end of our show. But now, of course, DarkZero just want to fight for their lives to keep themselves going, and they'll start out in good fashion here. Herd's the hero of the last round, taken down by Nate.
Yep, great start for DarkZero. Just need to try and cement that. We've had them already on this game be at a man advantage and lose the round ultimately. FURIA are a tough team to fight against even when they are short on numbers. That's going to help them though. KZ going down, Spirits manages to find JV. Take his Ying, he'll take your life. He's not happy about that nade with a double though. And this is what I'm saying about FURIA. They always seem, you always feel like they've got the ability to fight back. And Felipox carries on, takes down NJR, and all of a sudden DarkZero could be in danger. 1v2, Felipox low health. Surely he doesn't, Des. Surely he doesn't do it.
He might well do, though, Tim. We've already seen some unbelievable rounds from Brazilian teams today. Looking back at FaZe versus Fnatic earlier, it was exactly that story. They could turn it on exactly when needed, and Felipox had a wonderful day yesterday, but Citizen's pretty on it so far today. Going to give nothing away. Steps across and gets the single bullet needed. DarkZero take the round.
A close affair. We knew that this was coming at the end of the day. We've been looking forward to this game all the way through. We knew that Game 5 would deliver. DarkZero versus FURIA, two of the best teams that I believe we have seen here at Reload so far. Consistency, performance has been fantastic from both. Both had big, big moments, and now they are facing off against each other, and it's not disappointing. This one just yo-yos back and forth at the minute. 2-2 we find ourselves heading into round 5. 2 more defensive rounds for FURIA, and in all honesty, Des, I'd say at the minute DarkZero have a little bit of an upper hand coming in. Leo pointed out how defensive sided Clubhouse has been. FURIA are going to be looking for a 4-2, and they might not get it. DarkZero are the team that have already secured their minimum. On the attack, you're looking at that minimum 2, you're aiming for 3 or 4. They're sort of golden at the minute. They've got 2 rounds now that are kind of bonus rounds. They just go in, they get 1 or 2 of them. Brilliant.
Very much that. I said it earlier on that if you start on the attacking side and you can walk away with a 3-3 split, the pressure switches onto the other side. They know they've got to come out swinging. And based on how the game has been going so far, for the most part, DarkZero really have had their way with FURIA. However, 2 halves to a game of Siege, Tim, we say it all the time, things can look very, very different when we get there. Of course, the interesting thing to remark in this round is Felipox not running around with the boss G, it's worth stressing, but is off on the Vigil, trying to be a little bit of a nuisance to the other side. But we do have Pamba over on the Deimos, we have got Citizen on the IQ. Once they're aware of his presence, I imagine it's a bit of cat and mouse to hunt him down, but should be relatively easy given the gadgets they have available to them.
I just see that main stairs window opened up. Herds he's there ready, isn't he? He's already had a big round or 2 for himself as Herds, and you can see that he's feeling it today. Looking to get those challenges in. DarkZero largely just going to bypass that for the time being. Look to continue getting those breaches done. Construction wall is open, so Felipox just needs to be cautious. He's in bar at the minute on the Vigil, but he may want to rotate back up through bedroom and in through construction. With that wall open, maybe that'll have to change his plans a little bit.
Apparently someone going down too early as well. It's probably a good sign. You know, FURIA haven't tried to go too aggressive here and trying to match up against DarkZero, more waiting and biding their time. Heard sniffing around these main stairs, but it feels at least that DarkZero have got some inkling that someone is lurking around. But do they know exactly where he is? And do they know that it's Herds who's already had a good couple of rounds here? Not too sure they do. Drone's coming down, and now they're going to know. I'm pretty sure that spun and saw him, right?
Yeah, it must have.
And now it's under the chair. We'll 100% see him regardless.
Absolutely must have done. You can see they're just going to hold this angle. The thing is, DarkZero don't necessarily need to push this. They just need to prevent him from coming back up.
Yeah.
So long as they've got the manpower to work into construction and open that wall as they wish to, which you can see they've got plenty of numbers there. They can kind of just hold him.
And there's 2 off site, Tim. They might read this and say, guys, just hit the site now. They're 2 away from site. We can go in and make this happen. They've lost 1 in the process, though. It's JV doing what he does best and putting players in the dirt. A great shot from Bamba to bring it back the other way. 1 more stuck on red stairs here as well. I know that he wants it, but no! Shot from the long angle of FURIA. Holding on for a short amount of time, but DarkZero finally got them run over. A nade at his feet, and Nade himself, very well named in the moment, can do nothing about it. 2v1 of Felipox, who we were speaking about earlier, has got it all to do, but it's a 1 versus 1, Tim.
He's fought his way back in from Garage Days. He's got himself up onto the catwalk, got a kill, got a down, and now all of a sudden this is winnable. He can see the player. He's going to take him down because otherwise Spirits is feeding information back into his teammate Citizen. He's half health. He doesn't know which way to peek here. This is a real ring around the rosy. Felipox sees his man. Oh! And Citizen, cool as you like, is going to win it out in CCTV.
That's our boy Ben. UK boy going big when required most. He's had a good round in the previous one as well. 2 rounds in a row now. And his contributions have seen DarkZero getting it over the line. And Tim, they've got that half they wanted. A 3-2 split. The only real downside for them, admittedly, is, at least for looking at it, they win this game. They only get the 1 bullet. They don't jump massively far ahead. I think they were trying to engineer this to be able to choose who they play against tomorrow. That choice might get taken away from them based on available matchups. But for FURIA, this could be calamitous if it all goes wrong.
Ben is Citizen, by the way. Yeah, Desno's top player.
It's not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Round 6, final defensive round for FURIA, going to be down in the basement once again. 50-50 so far. We saw them defend it in round 1 and they lost it. And then we saw them go back there in round 3 where they were able to pick it up. They just had more success on the roam, particularly if I look at round 3. Spirit still was able to get that opening kill onto KZ, but it was just a really big performance from FURIA back down towards site to get it locked down. And DarkZero, I think, will come into this feeling like there's another round for them here and possibly a 4-2 half.
Attackers are moving out to
We've seen
locate a
Kangaroo
bomb
Kenny
and
still
defuse
bouncing
it.
around after every
He
single
loves
round
it.
win. Couldn't imagine putting you and him on a cast together, Tim. I think we'd just explode from the hype. The mics couldn't deal with it.
Too much energy in one room.
That would, mate. It would be a problem. In the same way FURIA are facing a problem, as I've remarked, they're in a spot of danger here. They lose, they drop down to 7. DarkZero win, they go up to 7, and suddenly both of them are then fighting to choose who the competitors are tomorrow to even have a chance of staying in the competition, and it might be too little, too late at that point. Even for G2 as an example, they went up to 10 points today, they win tomorrow and take 8 points, they can go up to 18. That still might not be enough to qualify tomorrow, remembering that only our top 8 teams in the whole tournament qualify. 4 will qualify today, and then 4 more will follow tomorrow.
Good chance there's going to be a good few bonus points available tomorrow with eliminator cards when people play. If you do eliminate another team, you get 1 extra bullet. But whether that's going to be enough in the grand scheme of things or not, time will tell. Round 6 then. 1 minute in, we are at present. DarkZero just working their way towards site for the time being. And JR's got himself down into oil pit. He's backed up by Spirit. Citizen over in dirt tunnel, I think. No, he's just behind the chains, sorry. I was looking at his silhouette on the top down. I thought he was a little bit further out. It's actually Nathan Pamba that are going to be working their way through Dirt Tunnel. And Nade and JV, as we can see, are there to front them up. More Vulcan canisters going down. As soon as they recognise that they're being pushed by that shield, FURIA, do something about it.
I'm kind of surprised at this point that Nate hasn't made use of those hard breach gadgets in back pocket to get hatches, really. Focus inside a bar and then inside a storage and then worry about pushing your way through. That feels like it would have been the play. So it's very one-dimensional, and I think FURIA are going to read into this. They've still got a smoke to play behind, so they can waste time as much as they need to here. Goyo, of course, already burning things through. I think an attempted backstab here from NGR, but he's been sniffed out by those alarms coming out from JV. So it feels like no real surprises coming in. DarkZero might need a change in tack here with just a minute to go.
Yeah, we're going to have to see whether they've got sufficient time to do that. Nath is rotating towards Kitchen. Pamba's holding a presence still inside of dirt, so still going to be a focus around that area of getting the plant down. But
KZ.
FURIA, if they hold on to dirt here, they're going to have a position to challenge from. Citizen's going to try and lock them in position, but 30 seconds left to go. DarkZero, they've got to do something. They can't necessarily hold dirt because of those Kiba barricades. They're taking them down now, but is it going to leave them enough?
Oh, he just turns at the right time there. Other players strike in. Spirits, for example. NGR making their move. A call for a second. KZ was going to punish them, but no, it's failed. The shield stands tall. Citizen is Angel Guardian from above. And DarkZero take the half 4-2.
Pamba won a really important fight with JV inside of the tunnel there. We could see that's when it really started crumbling. Citizen could then turn his attention elsewhere. Didn't need to worry about the player coming out of the tunnel any longer. And that was the round for DarkZero. 4-2 in that first half. And they are going to be feeling pretty comfortable at the minute. And this, Des, could drag FURIA right back down into things.
It would, because with a win here again, FURIA would find themselves going through. They'd have enough to sit in that top 4, but DarkZero are not making it easy. Dropping down to 7 will really make life tough for the side. The crazy thing is, again, reminding everyone, they of course lifted the hammer last year. Like, this is a team that you look at and think, well, they'd lift a hammer, surely they can go and win an event and make it even to the live stages, but it's looking like it might not be a thing if things carry on this way. DarkZero really starting to put the pressure on. The Thermite ban, a very interesting one to be targeted against FURIA. We spoke about the efficacy of hard breach bans on a number of maps. They've kind of split it in half here, gone for the Blackbeard and gone for the Thermite.
It just goes to show how competitive International Siege can be. Like you say, one team on any given day. You know, obviously we are inside a best of ones here. It makes it a little bit more of a shootout for these two teams. But right now, DarkZero absolutely dominant through that first half. And we would expect a very good Clubhouse to be coming out of FURIA. You know, they've been an excellent team on here for a long, long time, but DarkZero certainly seem to have them well researched, well prepared for, and well under the hammer at the minute.
All right. Let's see what other wonderful delights this game can deliver. DarkZero being up 4-1 attack was definitely not one of them on my bingo list. However, maybe FURIA can do exactly the same back. I think a lot will be said by how this first round goes, though, Tim. They don't win this one, it starts to feel like DarkZero have got a bit too much of an advantage. You start worrying for FURIA, they won't be able to make it.
Lots of sight being opened up, as we would expect, just to give those lines of sight from anybody stood on the tables inside of Cache. They can peek onto the breach, they can peek through into Garage should they want to. And have immediate attention towards that breach, as we would expect. Should be fairly easy to open up. The mirror window has been placed on there, so that's going to give a little bit of something. Got the fuse being brought along as well by KZ. We've already seen this out of FURIA before. Just helps to force anybody away from that wall, clear utility, just make it a little bit easier to get it up.
Everything inside of sight for sure. That means B is now wide open. No one can play on the wall. No one can really play inside of there out of fear of someone being in below. They'll be able to blast you out for free. And that's a third fuse charge now seen committed in towards B side here, Tim. That's an awful lot. Of course, not going to be able to do much about what's going on inside a catwalk with the fuse, but they can at least see the angle across here and start to give it a little bit of challenge. Spirit's very much dug in here alongside the Azami. They really do not want to give this up.
No, so much utility has been dedicated to that area, and it could be a good choice from DarkZero because FURIA do want the catwalk. They've brought the shield along, they've brought the Capitao along. They are trying to get this locked down, but it's not going to be straightforward for them. I hope they've got a plan, because otherwise they're going to spend a lot of time and they're going to bang their head against the wall and get absolutely nowhere.
Got to start this march on through at some point, and of course Herds is really the orchestrator of this. Mindful of the ADSs as long as they're burnt through, which of course right now they are not. There we go, though, the EMP could be good for them. One gets eaten up, another Keeper going down straight away. Monty squaring up here, but have they managed to make him burn? No, they have not. He's bang on in the middle of this one, but the Monty! Out comes Felipox with the pistol, blows his way through both Spirits and Pamba. There may be one coming back the other way, Tim, but FURIA have got the numbers advantage here with more than a minute still to play.
NJR with a quick challenge onto Nade on the rappel, can't quite find his man, but FURIA have time now, and they have the map control that they need. They are established inside of Garage. Felipox has diffuser in hand. That's a big kill from Citizen though, taking Nade down, brings us back to a 3v3. They don't have any range denial like Nitro's left. That's the problem. One Toxic Babe canister is all that stands between DarkZero and a plant going down. 30 seconds left.
Casey was desperate to get NGR through the drone hole then and couldn't quite do it. Now Citizen's dead inside a Cache. It's down to just Nath and NGR to make something happen. No C4 on side, a single smoke canister still to work with, and Felipox here should be in a great spot to make this work. He can afford to back away from this and order smoke if he needs to, but here we go. Nath trying something a little bit sneaky, but Felipox was shielded up. Problem is, Tim, he is 1 HP. If they can get below here and make this work for them, as long as they can deal with JV, they're in a great spot.
Yeah, they literally just need one bullet onto that planter. They've got to go and take the challenge. Surely, there he goes. Felipox, he has to come off and go back onto the diffuser. DarkZero does. They've played it absolutely beautifully. Nath hops out of a window, forces the Felipox to get off the plant, and that is round defining.
I thought I saw JV on our other monitor down below, covering that in case someone went down red, but it was the one thing they forgot about, Tim.
The thing is, when you get down to 3 players on the attack, it's tough to have somebody in lounge, because you kind of want somebody on catwalk to cover top red. You want somebody on the breach. It's difficult to shift a body underneath. In hindsight, yeah, of course, it'd have been, it'd have been absolutely perfect setup. And you could say, well, risk your red stairs, risk your, your cash push, risk that to the person on the breach. But it's tough, they can come from anywhere. But
shot from Citizens.
Nath going out of the window there and forcing Felipox off the plant. That was a huge play.
FURIA had no choice here but to try and stick the diffuser, and of course, only one thing happens then when there's a shield below. I think they're happy about that one, Tim.
I think they might be. Look, they've every right to be, because like I say, that is a round to watch back. That is a round to watch back and see how you defend CCTV and Cash, because when you've lost when you've lost Garage, when you've lost Catwalk, when you've got the breach open, it is very, if you don't have anybody underneath with a nitro, for example, very, very difficult to hold on to that site like that. The attackers really should be winning that more often than not, because you can't move from Cash or Red back into CCTV to challenge the planter. Nath, a big brain play to get out of the window. It's the only way you can challenge onto that spot without being cut down by the player who's watching from the breach or by the player inside a garage. Just really quick thinking from DarkZero. Excellent stuff. 5-2 now.
Nade taking the chunk out of Spirits across the CC window there. Enough still, DarkZero working their way through. The map, it is this gym bedroom defense, don't forget, but working their way down through the basement is Nath right now. Of course, a C4 in hand at the same time. We could yet see another round ruined from below him as long as that C4 is in the right place at the right time. Herd sniffing his way through into construction. He might be right here because there's two players coming past. Spirit and Pamba both stepping across, giving themselves some cover. If they get a swing onto this though, Hertz could be in danger.
Spirits
has made it.
Looking to try and get himself back, which he does. Keeper barricades go out. Of course, we know how key a position that can be. We see Shako playing there, you know, very, very often. He's great at holding on to that ground. Spirits also doing the same job there on the Azami. He's going to keep that in position now. Pamba is there, just moving back through into Cash. You can just see him. The drone doesn't, I think, pick him up quite, but I would have thought FURIA would expect him to be in and around that area, because it means that DarkZero can continue challenging onto those south-sided windows, and they definitely do know he's there as Philippox goes in to try and chase him down with the Monty.
And Hertz has got him pinted in a little bit here. Pamba's got a swing for her to try and get him, and sure enough he does. Almost escapes, but JV's there with the trade. Spirits back onto JV, killing his teammates Assailant, and now it looks, at least I was going to say, like DarkZero have got some control here, but Spirits has been dealt with. They've got the south balcony assured, and Philippox on the shield is the one going to start thinking about an execute. Problem is though, Tim, we've been here before, and Citizen is still standing. He deleted them last time they came through here.
This is just getting wild. Jump out after jump out. It's just, Spirits knew that he couldn't go back in there because Philippox was going to be in that area. He just had to try and get himself as close to the wall and survive as he could, but it wasn't possible. What will happen now? FURIA have got these south-sided windows. There's nothing DarkZero can do to prevent that, but they can just front it up. They know that's where the pressure's going to come from. You can see that they are confident. There's nothing coming from Logistics Hatch. They are happy to just look towards those windows and try to take the gunfights when they come.
The Monty's running down. Philippox, hello? He missed it, sat by the door. He's killed him for free there, Tim. That is the round basically over. Unless KZ can go massive, he cannot. Citizen with a big 2, but Philippox has literally gone walking past Nath there, who couldn't believe his eyes. A Monty booty for free? Thank you very much.
FURIA are getting bullied on Clubhouse at the minute. There's no other way to put it. DarkZero absolutely dominant, running rampant over them right now. So much so, FURIA, they call the timeout.
I do not blame them. 4 rounds to fight back. This feels almost impossible.
Impacts. I want you to impact trick the ace charges on CC breach, and I want you to pre-place an L-mine at the top of the rafter stairs, so when the
Nada pra eles, estão só peitando, fazendo coisa, tipo, tava difícil a gente prever, tá ligado? Então vamos tentar jogar mais caçando. Mano, só joga sem medo nenhum, guys. Se a gente perder isso aqui, a gente joga amanhã, tá ligado? Só vamos jogar mais acelerado mesmo. Como se não tivesse valendo nada pra gente também, tá ligado?
Então, realmente não vale, a gente vai ter que jogar mais de qualquer jeito.
A gente tá querendo jogar tudo certinho, espera tudo, vai plantar faltando 5 segundos, coisa, tá ligado? Então só vamos, mano, só vamos acelerar o jogo, trocar um tiro com esses ruins aí, tá ligado? Porque eles estão todos soltinhos, beleza?
Bora.
A lot to do, Tim. A lot to turn around for FURIA. Who would have had a 7-2 to DarkZero on their cards? That could be the scoreline we're about to find and experience. Yeah, I think Nath was in such shock for a moment. Look at this, look, free. It's so free. And I think he was a bit panicked. He was like, what just happened? And then threw his C4 at the wall, obviously not intending to, but wouldn't you be surprised if Monty has literally just walked in front of your face, not even seen you, and then you get a freebie?
He will never have an easier fight with Amonte in his life, let me tell you. But FURIA, they just seem a little bit all at sea at the minute, Des. You know, going in with maybe a little bit of a lack of information. It's difficult in the late round there. 20 seconds left to go. You've kind of got to just make a push and hope for the best. But they didn't really have any idea, particularly where Citizen and Nath were located, and they were able to take advantage of that. So really tough. DarkZero, by contrast, like I said, they did really well. They identified, look, all three of them are over there. We could see on our top down, all the DarkZero were just looking towards those windows. They weren't worried about hatch, they weren't worried about jacuzzi, they weren't worrying about main stairs. They knew that's where the pressure were coming from, and DarkZero just seemed to be really on top of everything that FURIA are trying to do.
Can they hold on, or is this one done? Feels like a big ask, as I said. 4 to climb, and Timmit's already started out woefully. Herds offline on the IQ. Pamba getting a freebie. This could now start to look a very torrid affair for FURIA. I don't see a way they fight their way back into this one unless we see something really special come out, but players like Citizen, Spirits have just been so hard to deal with today, Tim. Almost unplayable.
Absolutely, that's the best word for them, really. 21 kills between the two of them. And there's still at least one more round, maybe a few more to go if FURIA can pull something out of the bag. But right now, they're going to need 4 in a row without mistakes. KZ's going to have to take a goo mine out. That's just going to slow his progress a little bit and allow Citizen to escape for a few moments to get himself back a little bit deeper. And again, something DarkZero are doing well, taking gunfights when it's advantageous to them, but dropping away, waste a little bit of time, understanding the purpose of that roam.
Second one comes on through. Nade's gone. It does feel, Tim, like it's over. That goose is cooked, and FURIA won't be able to fight their way back into this one. DarkZero standing tall against last year's Hammerlifters. And just 3 kills away from seeing it done. Another one comes on through. They might get one, but it feels like a consolation kill. Spirits into another. NGR the next. And DarkZero dispatching of FURIA with ease.
Well, how about that? We thought there was a good chance we would finish the night with FURIA going through to the playoffs, but no, they have just been dragged right down into the maelstrom, Des, that is going to be tomorrow.
There's a lot of teams now fighting it out near the bottom, which, as you said, leads to some really interesting matchup and possibilities that we can see play out. We know that M80 down there on 4th, for example, will find themselves in the best position to pick out what opponent they want to face, and there's BDS. DarkZero will be on 7, along with Secret, and I believe also alongside FURIA, so quite a few teams are playing this dance around that 7-bullet mark. It's going to lead to some very interesting draws, that is for sure. We'll find out what that looks like after a break.
With the Spirits, and you just beat a 3-time champion, and it was not that hard, right?
Yeah, it was pretty easy. Honestly, I didn't expect to be that easy, but there were some cats today. There were some gatos.
Okay, and you know, you just asked me how to say cats in Portuguese, and I've told you that it's gatos, and I didn't know that you were going to do that joke about a FURIA, but yeah, you're right. I wanna know what made the difference today for you to win such an easy match.
Well, I think we won the mental game. Well, they banned the double shields, and yesterday, I don't want to say I was not that successful with the shields, but today I was playing Ying shotguns, and 4K first round, and I kept pushing and kept killing them. So 3rd round they banned the Ying, and I think that's when that's where we won the game, when they banned the Ying.
And having a full confidence.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. And right after the game, they were not very happy about the Ying shot.
So just so you know, Hertz and JV was walking past us, and they were like, I'm not going to do that, but, you know, just insulting you in a kind of way. You guys have such a, not a friendship, but, you know, a really good way of communicating, even if you just beat them.
Yeah, I mean, the FURIA guys are always a pleasure to play against and to be around. They're funny, they are friendly, and yeah.
They're really funny guys. Also about the club, the map, you guys chose to leave it open. So FURIA pick, and you lost club yesterday. So what was the reason to just, play it again?
Got the club go? Good. Yeah.
What did you say?
Club go.
We got the
Are you
genius.
the club goat?
Yeah, Nave is a genius club IGL, so we think Clubhouse is the best map. And yesterday, it wasn't us.
It was another team.
Yeah, it was just not us. We were not there on attack at least. But yeah.
And what is the true DarkZero? What is DarkZero then?
I mean, you saw it today.
Ooh.
And it's just a beginning, so.
Okay, it's just the beginning. Okay, let's say it's just the beginning for DarkZero, Milosh. Thank you so much.
It's the other side of the moon here, DarkZero. They are victorious, which is an upset. We're not really expecting it in this way. It's an upset if you're a FURIA fan, that's for sure now, because they don't go through today. They're gonna have to fight a big fight tomorrow, gents. What went down? Because the Ying shotgun is just so frustrating when you got Spirix on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, we called it, didn't we? We called it as soon as they were going to go for the double shield ban, Ying shotgun was going to come out. It duly did. Forced them into a Ying ban, and then he bullets them with the shields and everything else as well.
You've got to salute the trust that Dave had in his own skills when he said, we're going to pick attack. We're just so good at attack on Clubhouse.
Yeah. Despite
Clubhouse being defense-decided, we're going to go in. They got a 4-2 split on that, by the way, and they just locked in the defense.
And FURIA are an excellent Clubhouse team themselves as well. That was, that was a show put on from DarkZero just now.
I mean, Club is usually the map with the most emphasis on fundamentals, right? And in this case, seeing DarkZero master fundamentals the way they do, you have to be kicking yourself pretty much back home. How sad it is that you only had one bullet in there.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think, keep referencing it, but it was said in the IGL Summit, it's like Clubhouse is the team, Clubhouse is the map that sees which team has the best fundamentals, the best teamwork, the best team play. DarkZero, they were like operating as one single entity throughout the whole map on their attack. It was so good to see. A couple of individual isolated pockets of aggression for FURIA to pick up their 2 rounds, but that was it.
Citizen, new pickup went 2-8, yes, but one of those kills was a clutch. Huge. Amazing. And then you have Spirits, again, another pickup. Yes, he's amazing on the shields, but 18 frags for 5 deaths against the best gunners in the world. That's some great pickup right there.
I was speaking to Kangaroo Ken, and he was like, when we heard Spirits was available, we didn't even contact him. We thought other top teams would already have had him locked up. As soon as we knew he was available, he was in the team.
Understandable. He's one of the biggest prospects to come out of Canada ever, pretty much. Canadian is the only person that you can come close to, but at this point, he's an old man. It's not the same kind of thing. You got fresh blood in there.
He's dunking on Fox A a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
But
we'll see. Maybe the Canadian national team will be good.
That's true, but he turned into American at this point.
I see.
Things change. Anyways, what is our blacklight detail for this final matchup?
Well, all right, that was quick. I was very quick here, right there. All right. Our detail is going to be about synergy. It's going to be about DarkZero playing chess and outsmarting all of FURIA, who's amazing gunners, by the way, but they're always making sure they have the upper hand. They're always anticipating. We see Philippox here. He's actually extended into strip. That's something we don't see very often. That's very risky, and you'll see that's not going to work. They're basically on basement, and they're isolating this gunner. You see Spirits, Citizen, they're ready to take on the fight with Philippox. Now, Spirits with ping can send his Candelas and flash him completely. That's the first utility used. Second thing, Ace is breaching the wall to get a second on him. And then, third thing, Citizen is actually running in, so he has a third angle on him at the same time. So whatever they do, they always have a fallback plan if something goes worse. Now the flashes push Philippox away, they cannot get the kill, but what do you see here? Citizen is holding the same line, which prevents any other roamer to go help Philippox. So when KZ approaches, he's facing Citizen who gets a free kill. Now Citizen, as soon as he got the kill, rotates out. Why is he doing that? Once again, they want another layer. Here, he can wallbang Philippox at the same time as Spirits pushes Philippox. Once again, there is no way even the best gunner in the world cannot escape this trap. Once again, perfect 2v1 setup and free kill for DZ, amazing chemistry. Now because they've got ground floor control, they can kill any roamer that should be going down the stairs. Exactly the case here with one player rotating down the blue stairs. Now, at the same time, only one roamer remains, and this guy is Hertz, one of the best gunner in the game. Pay attention to the setup here. You see, the main door barricade is being opened by someone. He's challenged right now. At the same time, Pambazoo all the way out in lounge is coming. That's a second wave pinch. Third pinch, Spirits all the way in stock can wallbang. Now, Herd is stuck into a three-way pinch, but he's the best gunner in the game. He's gonna get a first pick on the main player, a second pick on the launch player, but once again, this is too smart. They've anticipated it. They've got a third player ready to commit and kill him. Now, that's my Blacklight detail. Amazing chemistry.
Amazing chemistry and amazing illustration. Thank you very much, Alfama. It is time then to recap our day.